Hey, I'm Hannah and you're welcome back to my allotment. I've had a YouTube break for about a year, but now I'm back. It's going to be a plot tour. It's September. Let's get into it. So, this is my allotment. It's rather large. I think it's about 4,000 square foot, and as you can see, I'm not fully cultivating it, and I think it's actually 3 separate plots, one quite small up there and one medium size, and this would be a full size allotment plot. But it's a private site, so we don't have water and no particular rules per se. But and a abandoned plot next door. Great. So a year since you've seen this on YouTube, and a lot has changed. This area used to be oriented a different way. So it used to have grassy paths going between each beds, and I think there were 8 beds or so. And I found that was really detrimental because the grass was just invading, and the couch grass was sending in roots underneath the bed, taking the nutrients and the water from the vegetables I was trying to grow there. So I found I couldn't grow anything around the outside of the beds, right? So that's something to think about if you have grass around your beds. It's not a great idea, or you will lose bed space. So what I did instead was to cover the grass with a mulch, a no-dig mulch with black plastic. You can see some of it left over there. We'll go look at it in a second. And cardboard with some mulch on top of that, and then just black plastic. And through that I grew squashes and stuff the last season. So last winter I removed that and I changed the direction of the beds. So now they're running downhill. There's a slight incline here, which means that when I water, things go down the hill. That's a good tip when you're designing your plot. Make it go downhill. And I'm also got rid of the grass, which means I have almost doubled my growing space here, which is pretty crazy when you think about it, and maybe not something I needed in terms of growing space, but it's made it much easier to handle. And if it hadn't been such a dry year, I think it would have been amazing in terms of water as well. But so what I have instead are wood chip paths. They're sort of almost disintegrated now. I'm gonna top them up this winter again, and just to show that over here I'm still mulching this last bit. I tried to grow some artichokes through holes in the plastic. They fell over in the wind, but still flowering. Hopefully they'll be okay for next year. But yeah, so this is the method. It's just using thick plastic mulch that won't let sunlight through, and that will kill this turf. It's not pretty, and the plastic will harbor slugs, and bindweed will keep growing underneath it, but most of the other stuff will be gone, and it will save you trying to remove turf, which is awful. And it kills the couch grass, no problem. You just need to leave it on for like 12 months. Great. And you might have spotted next to this bed area I have a new installment as well, which is a dead hedge. So here it is in all its glory. So a dead hedge is just made out of dead material, and we get a lot of that on our plots here because of this hedge that runs along it that I need to keep in check, and also random stuff from the neighbors' gardens and our own garden and things like that. And it's a great use of that material. Just used some posts here. We got secondhand of gum tree as like brackets to hold it in place, and then over time this will just break down and create, during that time it'll create like a habitat for critters and will increase biodiversity. If you can position it in such a way, it can also give a windbreak. So for here it kind of works as a windbreak for the north wind that comes from there when it's really, really cold. Obviously it could be taller, but it's a work in progress, and we might need to raise it, make it taller for next year when I need to do more cutting of that hedge over there. But so far it's worked great. I've had some people worry about doesn't it increase slug populations? I'm sure it does, but it is separated by the turf, and it's not right next to the beds, because otherwise rotting wood is a main source of slug habitats if you've got raised beds or something like that. But yes, you might be noticing that a lot of the bed space is empty, and I'm afraid that is the case because we had such a horrifically hot summer here, and I have no shade during the day past about 10 o'clock, there's just no sun after it's risen above the hedge line, and I could not keep my seedlings alive. So that's all my favorite vegetables, the winter brassicas. They all perished in that heat that we had, and I must be honest with you, I lost some of my love for my allotment this summer. It was so hard. It was hard just to be out here, just to spend time here, because it was just so hot. Couldn't do anything physical, and like all the seedlings, they were just gone. You know, that was the saddest bit. So because of the way succession sowings go and everything about being, you know, a veg grower, you think ahead. So all these sowings in June and July, they're hard to recoup. So I've taken the decision to buy seedlings. I've bought seedlings, the first time I've done this, for winter growing. I'm not 100% sure it will work that well. I don't know. I don't have any control of when they were sown. Will they have been sown in time for them to establish and produce something for me this autumn winter? I don't know. So things I've bought include like kales, swede, some broccoli, and lots of green leaves, salad leaves and things like that. Oriental greens as well, to grow outside. So I'm hoping they'll arrive. I was expecting them early September, haven't got here yet, but they're saying sometime now, early October apparently. So we'll see how that goes. I can't say I recommend it yet because I haven't seen the seedlings or how how big they are when they arrive. We shall see. But you know, it's one of those years. I could have just given up, but I found my love for the allotment again now that the weather's cooled a bit. What I do have growing though are carrots, and this is my second sowing, and I think they are coming. Yeah, they are coming. There'll be a late harvest. I still have my earlier sowings are still with us, and these are just some second sowings of parsnips, and you can see they also did not do so well in the heat, you know, that we had later on. And just like, yeah, this celeriac, I don't even know, I should probably just get rid of it. It's not going to do anything. Oh well. But I do have some surviving sets of winter brassicas, which is just cabbages. I actually don't know what they are because they are the sole survivors. So they could be kohlrabi, they could be kalettes, they could be sprouts possibly. I don't know. We shall see. I'm usually more organized than that, but you know, I take what I can get at this point this year. And yeah, I've had other things to concentrate on. You know, life has come back into action. And when I started this channel, it was in 2020 and everything was different. I had way more time on my hands. And then this time last year, I decided to start up an online education business side hustle thing where I started a veg growing membership, and I've run courses and workshops and things like that. So I've really something had to give, and that sadly was a YouTube channel. But now I feel like in a better place, and you know, I feel like I have now the time to do this. I'm only promising a video a month for now. We'll see how it goes in the future, but let me know if you like this sort of video, and I can keep doing them, or if you have other suggestions, you know, head over to my other social medias if you want more like regular contact, right? But I am posting to shorts too, so if you're a YouTube only kind of person, you'll still see me around. Anyway, back to what I'm growing, eh? So here's some other things are currently in the bed. So this is just parsley and some Florence fennel, which is tiny and were left in their modules for too long in the heat, you know. Some lettuces, the sole survivors, and they've actually also been eaten, but at least I'm still picking off them. And some really, really sad flowers. I mean, look at that. How sad is that? Sunflowers, though, have been great this year. And if I walk you over, God, it's sunny, to where the big change this year as well has happened, you'll see even more sunflowers. So this is the area where we just were. Here's going to be my onion bed and some strawberries, some raspberries. And over here are my arches that are now looking rather empty, apart from all the sunflowers. But this year I had winter squash growing up this one, and some beans and other things growing up the second row. And these guys were amazing. Like, it's the best decision I ever made. They are very expensive. in terms of just cost, because I've got such a big area of them. So they're rebar mesh, reinforcement steels that you use for concrete. This is the thin stuff, 6mm, so you can bend it really easily into this shape. And then I've just got regular rebar stuck in the ground holding it in place, right? So I've got a short video on this, so look out for that. I'll try posting that this weekend, or let me know in the comments if you want me to link it. And I think all in all, this cost, including shipping, it was like £450 or something like that, which you might think is a huge investment to make for an allotment. I'm hoping to, if I move away from here and I have a garden, I will take them with me. They will last forever, like really, really long time. So the reason why I've gone for these is because previous years I love growing squash vertically, right? Because it saves space and I can grow a lot. And you can grow really heavy ones. They support themselves completely fine. But we have such a prevailing wind here. It's really exposed in the winter. So I've tried other ones, cheap ones from Wilco's and other Amazon or whatever, and they just, like, they last a year max. And the winter squash are heavy, and I wanted to go like big on vertical growing this year, and I really could, this. And you obviously don't have to go this big as me. This is just insane. You can get them like custom sizes and whatnot, but I wanted to be able to walk through the tunnel of winter squash, and I could do that this year. But I have taken them inside now because it's getting quite cold in the night time. I do still have, obviously I still have all the sunflowers here, but I do also still have something exciting growing over here, which is, can you guess what it is? Can you guess already? It's a loofah. So if you don't know, you can grow your own loofah sponges. It's part of the squash family or cucumber family, so they're sensitive to frost, but it grows very similarly to a cucumber or something like that. Twining. I've got maybe another one, possibly, depends. But I will definitely get one. And inside here, once it's matured and dried, is this structure that you can use as a sponge later. This is incredible. So you can grow your own sponge and give away for Christmas, or make loofah soaps, all sorts of stuff. And the crazy thing is, I grew one last year in the greenhouse, and this one outside is bigger. Obviously, we've had a great summer this year, and these are tropical loving plants, right? So that might be why. But I have not watered it a single time, like at all. So I'm amazed. Whilst the one in the greenhouse is still struggling. I think maybe it got too hot and dry in there maybe for it. It has put on some growth now, but it's a little bit too late. But I've had on other accounts that a guy in Yorkshire, Steve, he grew several big loofahs outside last year, and it was a horrible summer. So even if you don't have a greenhouse and you fancy growing your own loofah, give it a go. They can grow fine outside. They are tricky, and you tend to maybe lose a few of the plants, so definitely grow more than one, and then hope one of them survives and gives you a sponge. So yeah, that's exciting. And here are my tubs of dahlias, and they're doing well in tubs actually. And I've done this because I've had the worst luck with dahlias. I buy them, maybe I go for the sale, right? I'm guilty of buying some stuff in sales, and then you're less maybe likely to get what you order. So I don't know, I've lost count of how many dahlias I've grown from tubers that then turn out to be something else, and sometimes not nice ones, or if it's your most anticipated one and it turns out to be something else, it's just a huge disappointment. So what I've done this year, because partly I ran out of time, but partly also because I wanted to double check that they were what I thought they were, and then in this area I'm gonna put in a proper bed for cutting flowers and stuff like that. But then I will know exactly which varieties I'm growing. So this is American Dawn, which is gorgeous. Everyone should grow it. It's just absolutely amazing. And this is also an American Dawn, but in fact it's supposed to be, let me just where's the thingy? Here's the thingy. It's supposed to be Wizard of Oz, which is a really pink nice one I wanted to grow. So here we are. I have two American Dawns, which is, not a disaster. And this one is supposed to be I think this one's supposed to be Penil watermelon. And I grew this last year and I was like, that's not Penil watermelon. This one I kind of call it Christmas because it's sort of red and white, and it did not go with my color scheme that I had going in the garden last year, but I sort of figured it would go quite well with like the whites and stuff I have and other yellows and reds, so I've kept it. And yeah, it'll probably get a spot somewhere, right? But yeah, otherwise, ones I'm loving is obviously Totally Tangerine, another one everyone should grow. And yeah, lots of other little ones. We'll see which ones I keep. This is Cafe au lait Supreme. Still haven't managed to grow Cafe au lait the original, but Cafe au lait Rose is really good. I don't have any ones that are open right now, but this one, I'm super excited. This is Thomas Edison. But yes, so I've got this sort of dead space in front of my second greenhouse, that where the pots are in this area here, where I have been thinking like, what should I put there? I don't need more veg growing space, but I would like a dedicated space to grow proper cutting flowers that I can support and not just let flop around like I do everywhere else. So that's the plan for that bit. But yeah, let's have a quick look at the greenhouses, and I think I'm gonna have to round it up, otherwise this video is gonna be forever. Like I could do this for hours. It just never ends, isn't it? And I definitely feel like I've missed having YouTube to just like talk about my allotment. It's like yeah. Let's go into the greenhouse. First off, I just wanted to show that I'm in the process of tidying up, and this is it tidy, I must say. These are some other things we can talk about later. But yes, it's a mess in the greenhouse. It's a right mess, but you know, keeping it real and all that. So I've got some melons in here. We'll see if they ripen. I planted them out really late, but you know, we might get some. I harvested some in October last year, so it's possible. My aubergines got a wilt disease last year, which is something that's grows in the soil, so I had to grow them in pots this year. And these are like reservoir pots from Wilco's. They're really good actually, because they have a reservoir in the bottom, so they have produced a lot for me this year. They're on their last legs now. Might get a few small ones still. We'll see, unless I forget to water them. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, it's been a bit of a meh dumping ground this year. Still haven't sorted my onions. Whoops! Alright, let's check the other greenhouse. So this is my second year with my large greenhouse. The small one is 6x6, and then last year I managed to get another second-hand greenhouse and installed it, and this one is 10x6. And this year, these are all tomatoes, and to my shame, I still haven't sorted out my garlic. It's still in here. I don't know what state it's going to be in now, but I had pretty bad white rot, so I'm not saving any of the seed this year. I've bought new seed garlic, and I'm going to grow it in the new bed area, because I've had best luck there like 2 years ago. It was amazing. So I'm going to have to just keep growing it there. But yeah, this has been the tomato greenhouse, and they're mainly almost finished now. Still have a few going on that are just ripening now. And I don't like Brad's Atomic Grape, if you saw that short video. But yeah, some cherries still come in, right? So they will still ripen. Not 100% sure about the other ones, the bigger ones. We'll see. Depends on what the weather's gonna be like. But yeah, it was a great tomato year for a lot of people. I think because of the heat that we had. I find, and I think a lot of people also said that it was almost better outside this year, and that is because tomato plants don't really want temperatures above 35 degrees. And I mean, it's 31 in here today, so you can. it was, you know. Yeah, it's too hot, I would say, for a lot of undercover growing this year maybe, and I definitely didn't water enough, so I could have probably got more out of these plants. But I grew a lot in my garden this year, and they were good. So you know, you win some and you lose some. Last year we lost all outdoor ones to blight, so you know, you never know. You have to sort of plan for both, and hopefully one of them will succeed. But yeah, as you might have spotted, my squashes. So I've cut my squashes and some leftover patty pans and things like that. and a forgotten squash, sorry, courgette. And they're just in here curing. So once you've cut your squash, first of all, it's good to cut it as a T, not to cut here unless it's completely dry. If it's still got green in it, it's good to cut a T section, so then it still has time to dry. And it means that if you cut here, it could start to rot before it dries, and then it's a shorter distance to get into the squash or pumpkin. So if you keep this, it will start drying, and hopefully before it rots, right? But some of them are already completely dry, right? So then you don't have to worry, then you can just cut it wherever. But if it's still green, just leave a little bit longer on it. And then it's very important, you have to leave them somewhere warm and sunny to cure for like 2 to 4 weeks. Sunny windowsill, this one, it came off, right? It's not good. Sunny windowsill or somewhere like that. And that means the skin will harden and they will store for a long time somewhere in your house. Yeah, so that's importantly, don't cut them and put them in a cupboard or somewhere dark in your house. They will rot. Even if you cure them for like 4 weeks on a sunny windowsill, they might still deteriorate. Some varieties store better than others. The Georgia Candy Roaster that I just held there, that one is like actually better after New Year, but other ones won't last that long. So it's regular checking of them is the best method. Anyway, let's go outside for the last little bit. So as I said, all my summer sowings sort of failed, but that didn't stop me sowing stuff in September for greenhouse growing. Partly there's a lot of flower seedlings for overwintering, but also these are radishes, winter radishes, and I've got what's it called? Oriental greens for the greenhouse, pak choy, satsoi, Mitsuna, all of those, and spinaches and some peas. We'll see how that goes, my first try. And I've also got some onions from seed to overwinter in the greenhouse. We shall see how it goes. So I've also found a lot of cerinthe flowers that I've self-seeded, and other things that I've just picked up, like this Verbena banthan is one, a seedling that's self-seeded from last year, and just to keep them alive. And I have a lot of violas that I've self-seeded that I didn't want to grow in my paths, so I've lifted them, and maybe it'll save me buying some. So I think once I've had my delivery of winter seedlings and I've started planting out, doing the changeover in the greenhouse, I'll have a full allotment again. And I must say, it does feel a bit weird not having more stuff here. Especially because in November I'm teaching my course again, which is Succeed with Succession, which is about, succession sowing. So this is one of those things that a lot of people need help or want help with, struggle with. It's like how to maximize your plot and like have something to harvest throughout the year. And one of the most important things is summer sowings, right? To fill your plot. Everyone knows you should sow seeds in spring, but you have to keep sowing throughout the year to keep your allotment filled with stuff, right? So that's sort of that's the next thing I'm launching course-wise, is that. Again, I think we're opening doors end of October now. But yeah, so in the meantime, I had this great idea just to make my life a bit more busy, is why don't I, because I'm curious, right? I want to have my eyes on people's allotments, and I get questions all the time from people, especially people who've just taken on their allotments or who are a bit unsure about the steps to take now in winter, especially if they're new to no-dig, is like, what to do now, how do I tackle this, like, what would you do here? And I can't help everyone. I have too many followers, which is a good problem to have, I guess. But I do feel a bit guilty about it. I can't spend all my time doing it. So I've set up this thing called plot audits, which is you can either do one-to-one with me, where you can book me in for a Zoom session. I think that will be 30 minutes for £50, or you can do longer, whatever is needed for you, where you can send me videos and images and we can go through them. But I think that's not for everyone, you know. So the most accessible option would be a group plot audits that I've just going to price at £10 per people, and there'll be 10 tickets, right? So everyone sends in the picture, and then we can go through them, and you can both like learn from what ideas I come up with for your plot, but also what other people are doing, what other people are struggling with, and come up with solutions together. So that's going to be, I think the first one will be on Monday the 3rd of October. I'm hoping to do several if the interest is there, but there'll be links and stuff to that in the caption here if that's something that you find interesting. And you know, I have a free sewing plan, don't forget that. If you haven't signed up to my mailing list, you get a free sewing plan, plus you'll get to know, you'll know when all these things are out, and you can buy tickets to plot audits and whatnot. So if you're into that sort of stuff, definitely sign up. For the general updates, probably Instagram's the best one, but you can just stick with YouTube. Whatever, it's up to you. I love all the social medias, and you can't get rid of me ever. Right, till next time, I'll see ya.